Hey, GW coming to you live once again. Hey, I had a request to review a video from a cat named, and I don't know if I got this right, HD81. He wanted me to check out a movie called Dark Angel starring Dolph Lundgren and Brian Benben. So I watched it this morning, and I'll tell you what, if you guys haven't seen it, or you might have seen it under its alternate title, and it's called I Come in Peace. It's a late 90s, or late 80s, early 90s sort of sci fi buddy cop action sort of deal. The story is a little bit convoluted, but you just go with it because it's a fun ride. Basic, Basically, Dolph Lundgren plays Detective Jack Kane. Jack Kane just wants to chill out. It's Christmas. They're not clear on where this event takes place, the story takes place, what state. They don't make it clear, but it doesn't matter in the long run. But his partner's killed, and his partner's killed trying to get a couple of drug dealers called the White Boys. And what happens is that an unexpected visitor crashes the party, an unexpected visitor from outer space, and he's not alone. Apparently, another outer space alien is down to Earth, and this is where it gets a little bit confusing. One alien is a drug dealer. The other one is a cop trying to stop the drug dealer. What happens is next thing you know, Dolph Lundgren's character, Jack Kane, and Brian Benben are assigned to figure out what's going on. Now, the fun thing about this movie is that it takes elements from movies that were before it. There is a nice little murder scene in the first couple of minutes when the alien shows up, and he shoots a CD sort of weapon that cuts throats. And I think they pulled that either off of Predator 2 or Hellraiser Part 3. Now, if you guys don't know Hellraiser, there was a scene in there where Pinhead took a bunch of CDs at a dance club and made them fly around and slice people's throats. And it was a pretty fun little special effect deal. The drug dealer alien came to Earth to harvest the perfect drug, endorphins. So it becomes an action sort of deal. And the last half of the movie is just pretty much a chase and a destruction, sort of demolition derby, all rolled into one, if you will. The uh, the one thing I do remember about this movie, had previous to seeing it today, I remember reading about it in a magazine called Starlog. Starlog, if you guys don't know, was the counterpart to the Fangora magazine. It was more the sci-fi, futuristic thing. They had a picture of the bad alien who was played by Matthias Hughes, his demise, and they showed a picture of him impaled on a pipe. And I really didn't give this movie half a chance because I'm like Dolph Lundgren, not a main actor, and I thought it was going to be some you know, cheap, B movie, C movie concept. But actually, the movie is pretty fun. They blow a lot of shit up in this movie. The chemistry between Dolph Lundgren and Brian Benben is pretty awesome. And for those of you who don't know Brian Benben, he was on a show called Dream On, a long time HBO show that ran in the infancy of HBO. And speaking of HBO, I hope HBO Max is pretty awesome. They keep saying it is. But anyway, back to I Come in Peace or Dark Angel. The other interesting thing is that there is a cameo, and if you guys are fans of Perfect Strangers or have ever seen that show, the guy that plays Mr. Gorpley, who runs the Chicago Chronicle, is in here as the head of the White Boys. I thought that was kind of a nice touch that they threw all these B movie, C movie actors into this movie that is really a fun, like I said, a fun ride. Um, like I said, the chemistry between Dolph Lundgren's character and Brian Benben's character is awesome. Dolph Lundgren's more like the Jean-Claude Van Damme, Arnold Schwarzenegger, by any means necessary, let's do what we need to do. And Brian Benben's character, Smith, is more, by the book. He wants to do through everything the FBI way, the police way, whatever. The aliens in this film look pretty much, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Not imposing, but, intimidating. The first time you see this alien drug dealer, he looks like he could play football for the Oakland Raiders or pretty much, be in the WWF or, something, or bodyguard. He is huge, immense, and he's really intimidating. What I liked about the alien drug dealer too is, other than the flying CD weapon he has, both of the aliens have killer guns. I'm talking about, handguns that could blow up a car with a single shot. That makes for pretty good action sequences. And overall, the movie is, I would say, pretty awesome. The one thing that I will say is that this movie does not go on the cheap, if you will, in terms of budget. I mean, everything is structured, everything looks pretty much like it would in a big blockbuster movie. I don't really know the budget of this, but it must have been pretty high. But it's a fun movie, and it's probably going to be overlooked. I know I saw the whole movie posted on YouTube as Dark Angel. And I think they changed the title because anytime you see the alien drug dealer in this movie, that's all he says is he goes, "I come in peace." That, I think, was an easier title to remember than Dark Angel. But nonetheless, this is probably Dolph Lundgren's most underrated, pretty awesome movie. He probably doesn't get credit for this. He done a batch of movies in the late 80s, early 90s. One being Punisher, one being Rocky 4, and one being a war film called Red Scorpion. Red Scorpion was a war film. I don't know, a mercenary film, if you will. I've never seen it. But I think he also did Showdown in Little Tokyo. I think he was in there. Don't quote me on that because I don't know. But this is, I think, the one film that is pretty much Dolph Lundgren's breakout role, other than Ivan Drago and Rocky 4. Yeah, the cast is pretty cool. Like I said, you have Dolph Lundgren, Brian Benben, and then you have Betsy Brantley, who plays Diane. Now, Diane in the film is Dolph Lundgren's ex-girlfriend, and they're trying to reconnect as this whole thing goes on. But the plot is, like I said, kind of convoluted until you figure out what exactly is going on. But even when you do, it's kind of pointless. In the middle of the film, there's a couple of lines of dialogue exchanged where the FBI wants to take Dolph Lundgren's character Jack Kane off the case so they can pretty much, research this alien, communicate with it, see what's going on. Brian Benben, though, turns the tables and ends up, trying to help save the day. Overall, I would say, I Come in Peace is a very cool movie, very underrated sci-fi flick, and it is a fun thing. And I wish they could redo it. The other thing I like about this film, too, is that when you watch it, it captures the tone of the sci-fi movies. And it's a combination, like I said, buddy cop, sci-fi, action all rolled into one, which was pretty much, in a treat in and of itself. In some of the fight scenes, like at the end, you don't really see that stuff anymore, not as much, and I'm glad my man HD81 told me about it so I could check it out. I mean, I didn't know what to expect, but I'm glad that I watched it for the first time, and it's pretty cool. I think this thing also has Dan Aykroyd's brother in it, David Aykroyd. He plays a cat named Switzer. Didn't look too much like Dan Aykroyd, but you guys can use your own judgment on that. But it begs the question, if Dolph Lundgren can turn out, cool movies like this and The Punisher, what happened to the cat? You know what I mean? And Brian Benben, I do think this was his only film debut. Other than Dream On, I don't think the guy did anything else, which Dream On is available. Get seasons 1 and 2. It only ran for 2 seasons. It's a pretty cool TV show. It was about a guy named Martin Tupper who was a book editor, and he got a divorce, and it's all about his sexual adventures and, day to day activities. But the show had a cute gimmick where anytime somebody said something to him, a black and white movie would play in his head because the character was born watching TV. You know, he never stopped watching TV, so everything is a clip to him. And I really love that aspect of Dream On. And I wish they would, put that on HBO Max or get that out on demand so more people could see it because it is a pretty cool show. And you get to see Brian Benben, you know, go through every kind of role. You get to see him be funny, you get to see him be serious, and it was a pretty awesome show. With that being said, I think I Come in Peace is definitely worth a watch. And it reminds you sort of Lethal Weapon meets Predator 2 meets Cocaine Cowboys, which that's the other thing in this film, by the way. Cocaine and endorphins produce the perfect drug. So the alien drug dealer is siphoning endorphins from people's brains using some kind of a device from his hand. It's pretty awesome. So if you guys haven't really checked it out or looking for some 90s sci-fi, action, buddy cop comedy, I recommend highly recommend I Come in Peace. And again, thank you HD81 for telling me about this. And I hope that you really like this review because I know you wanted me to check it out. And I'm glad that I did watch it. I could have missed out on a very cool gem of the 90s. So GW, it's my review of I Come in Peace.